Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm, and today I'm going to be flying the MD-80, the Super MD-80 in Xplane. So there are some free planes that come with Xplane, and then there are some planes that you can get online on the Xplane site. And this is a modification of the plane that comes with Xplane. So the MD-80 is an older airline, older in the sense that it was made in the 80s. So it's got a couple of um, quirks with it. And the model that was given by Xplane, uh, the plane is fine, but it handles a little bit like a sporty small plane, which it shouldn't. So this person went ahead and modified a couple of things. They made the APU, the little engine that runs to make the big engine run, um, act more like the MD-80. And so this is the Super MD-80. So let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick. So here we are located in Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, and there is the MD-82 flying Continental as always, and we are live on VATSIM. If we look inside the plane's got some great modeling. Uh, Now you can buy an MD-80 from Rotate. There's nothing wrong with that plane, but I am not much of an airliner guy. It's not something I usually fly in too often. So I just wanted to learn the plane, and I did. And this update with the Super 80 fits what I need perfectly. So a couple of systems are not working very well in this version, but it's things that it doesn't really matter to me. Like you cannot change the landing altitude or the landing barometer located right here. That's not going to make or break it for me, but it will for some people, and I totally get that. Inside the plane, we've got somebody right next to us apparently who just loaded up. We got a Delta. How cool is that? And so inside the cabin, let's go ahead and look around. It is totally fine. It is not the greatest of textures. I don't need it to be. It's fine with me. I still think it looks pretty neat. And we're going to go ahead and get the door open so we can let some passengers in. So we're going to do the stairs. I don't have animated jetways because I don't fly airlines too often. It's just not worth it to me to get that. But other people, it will matter. So I'm also going to open the cargo doors. So we take a look outside now. We can see we got the plane with the outside door and the cargo doors. Yep, they're open right there. So pretty cool. So I've already pre-filed my flight plan. So with the MD-80, what I've been doing is I've been flying these roughly hour legs. The MD-80 can handle 150 passengers. Today we're flying with 100 passengers. And I went from Islip to Baltimore. And from Baltimore, I went to Raleigh. And from Raleigh, I went down to Savannah, Hilton Head, which is where we are today with some um, not so great weather. And then we're going to be flying into Orlando, MCO, where the weather looks like it's perfectly fine. So we've already got that flight plan taken care of. I'm going to program the information. So there's the flight plan, and we are flying direct to these different locations and then coming in on a arrival. And we'll be cruising at 34,000 feet, and we'll be roughly going 430 knots. Great. So I'm going to prep all that stuff. You don't need to watch any of it. But if you want to see a couple of things, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the external power going, and I'm going to get that. I'm going to turn on the battery, and I'm going to turn off the emergency power because I don't need that. And this uses the stock FMS, and apparently my nav data is out of date, but that is okay. We'll clear that out. I'm going to program this. Stock FMS to me is perfectly fine. It's not what would be with this plane, but it also gets the job done. So I will get all that sorted out, and yeah, I'll be back to you in a couple minutes. Okay, so we're going to call for a pushback here. We're going to turn on the APU and then get the engine started and get rolling.
Great news, Captain. Your tow's coming.
So we're going to turn on our start pump here, and we are going to get the APU going so you can see it's slowly starting to go. And it's going to catch, and it's going to start adding the fuel any second now. Yep. And there goes the Delta. Never announced once that he was leaving.
All right, looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
Down here, we're going to turn on the pneumatics, and we're going to set the auto brake to takeoff. And by doing the pneumatics, then we can also get that engine started. We're going to turn on the air. So you can see that the air changed just a little bit. For whatever reason, it just stays pretty cold in here. So we're going to go ahead and dump that up. Savannah traffic, this is Continental 5522 at the gates. Going to be taxiing via Foxtrot and Echo to runway 10. Savannah. So I made an announcement, unlike that other dude. Great. I'm not bitter. You have to kind of go past the turn. There you go. All right, we're taking runway 10 here, so let's make a call. Savannah traffic, this is Continental 5522, taking runway 10 for a southbound departure. Savannah. Great, I've made my call, I've got my lights on. Is there anything else we need to do? Well, let's go ahead and take a look real quick. We've got our ignition to both, so that way, actually we'll turn it to override, so that way it's constantly going, just in case there's an issue. It's not our procedure that I'm aware of to turn off the bleeds, that's why it's on auto, so I think we're okay there. Probably need to set the flaps though, so let's go ahead and get the flaps set to 15 here, so here they come. I don't know what I just touched there, probably shouldn't have touched it. And I do know that we need the hydraulics on, right? So we got all that set. I see that we are on 10. Airspeed is live, 80. Continue. And 145, rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. Okay, everybody, so here we are. We're in the climb. We're going up. We are doing 2,000 feet a minute. We're going up to our climb cruise altitude of 34,000. And yeah, we've got everything programmed in. We're headed to where we're heading. So that's it so far. Let's take a look at the cabin real quick. Make sure we're doing good out here. There we are, just right above the clouds. There's 10,000 feet, so we can go ahead and turn off our seatbelt sign. We're in pretty smooth air here. We can also get our ignitions to off. And what would be a flight without a phone call. So cleaning up, we're turned off the landing lights. We're above 10,000 feet. We can turn off the floodlights. We don't need those anymore. Don't need the wing, and we don't need the logo. That's one thing about this plane that a lot of people have issues with. It is laid out in sections that do make sense, but then every once in a while there are a couple of things that just point to the wrong direction. And one of those things about this model that I said, all right, it's not working so great. Look here, the temperature now has dropped to, you know, almost freezing. So yeah, I'll put the heat on here, but it's probably not going to make a difference. Or sometimes it'll actually raise it to like 50 degrees and you're killing everybody. So that's something that's not modeled great. Same thing with the pressurization. It climbing, and it's fine, but you know, you just have to pretend it's actually working. Not a big deal. That's not going to be the deal killer for me here. So again, looking at the autopilot, I'm climbing at 2,000 feet a minute at 230 knots is what I have it set for, and we're going all the way up to our 34,000 feet. So according to the computer here, if we look at progress, our top of descent's in, well, roughly 70. So by the time we get to the top, we'll be coming back down again, but that is okay. And we're going to also take a look at our arrival. Okay, so I've looked at the BIF-07. I put in all the different clearances that I need to be after reading this, and then I know I'm coming in for runway 18 right, and I've looked at the information there. I need to tune in the localizer and probably the VOR just to make sure, so I'm going to do that right now. And I can actually do it right from here. So the localizer is on 111.9, so put that on nav 1, and 112.2, put that in nav 2. So now we've got everything organized. We are coming in on course of 185, so I can go ahead and tune that right now. So that's all set, and looking at the legs, we've got just a little bit before we start thinking about our descent here in apparently 39 miles. So once we get up to our cruise, we're basically coming right back down. So that is fine. So one thing I'm doing here is I'm going to actually use a calculator and a formula to figure out exactly when I need to descend, so that way I can descend just at the right time. So instead of having the flight computer kind of bring me down either too early or too late, I'm going to just double check the numbers myself. So that's something that a good pilot should do, and most pilots don't. They just plug in the numbers and just let the thing take care of itself. But with me and my fancy P4 on VATSIM, there you go. All right, so the airplane is doing airplane things here, and once again, as always, I'm going to have to pause mid-flight, take care of farm stuff, so I'm going to do that right now, disconnect from the network. I'm kind of in an area where there shouldn't be anybody, so when I come back on, I should not cause a disruption. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but we're increasing speed ever so slowly here at the cruise. So right now, the ground speed is roughly 400 knots, and it should go even faster than that. Wonderful. So let's pause it, disconnect, do horse stuff, come back. All right, we are back online, and it looks like we do have a Orlando Tower controller on. So we don't have to contact him until we're about 5 miles, 10 miles out, 5 miles out really. So we've come back online here. We're not going to interfere with anybody. We're just waiting for the VACtastic to update, but you'll just see all of a sudden, boom, there'll be Continental 5522 just show back up. So great. So I am going to tune in the tower just so I've got it ready, 118.45 on standby. Okay, so I've tuned up 118.45 on the standby, so I'm ready to switch over to tower when I need to be. And let's see if we've popped back in yet. This update's like every 2 minutes, so it's going to take just a little bit of time. But let's also pay attention to our top of descent here, which should be, now. So we're going down 2,000 feet a minute, down to 12,000. You can see we've got the speed capped at 300 knots. We probably need to reduce that just a little bit because you see our ground speed is actually 477, and we were counting on 400 knots. So there's ground speed there, 475. So we're coming down pretty quick. So we're probably going to just reduce our speed just slightly down to, let's say, 280 indicated. We'll see if that helps any. So we've got our the throttle's back the whole way, and you can see we are not losing any speed. So we're going to add just a little bit of speed brake here, and that should help slow us down. So that adds little spoilers back here to help reduce our speed as we come down. So we're going to zoom in just a little bit, and let's go ahead and get a little bit more information. Let's pull up the airport diagram. So we're coming in on 18 right here, and so we'll need to make a left-hand turn, cross 18 left to get to the north terminal. Yeah. We've got the ILS all set up. Missed approach is climbing right turn 4000. That's all programmed into the FMC, but what we need to pay attention to is right here. The 4000 is the decision height, or the height that we need to be at. If we go missed, our decision height on this is 200 feet. We never did change our pressure to 2992, so let's go ahead and do that. So you can see we're actually quite a bit lower than we thought we were, so that was a mistake on my part. Getting the phone calls distracted me, and that always happens. Not a big deal, but still. When you don't follow a checklist like you should, these things happen, and also, like I said, the phone calls and trying to squeeze in a flight always messes up just a few details. What a shame. Try to pride myself on being a little bit better than that, but that's all part of learning. It's also not having a second officer there to help you. You have to do everything, but really the excuse is not following the checklists. Here we come into Orbix True Earth Florida, so this is an add-on scenery pack that includes the ortho satellite scenery and buildings, which is great. The building coastline looks more accurate with hotels and things like that, and plus the theme parks are rendered. So being a big Florida fan that I am, that's always a nice thing to have. While we've got some time here, we're also going to load up the MCO diagram, so that way I've got it ready to go. And we're going to load in the weather. So scattered at 4,300 feet, so very clear coming in. A slight crosswind at 7 knots, not a big deal, and the altimeter is 3012, which I'm going to dial in a second. Matter of fact, we can probably start dialing that in now. Anything else we can do here? Well, you can see, as I said before, we've got the cabin temperature set super hot, and it's just not going to work. So I just don't know what to say. So our fuel temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. We're fine there, and you can see our outside temperature is 10 degrees, negative 10 degrees Celsius. So one of the things is the temperature of the aircraft is warmer than the outside temperature because of friction. So that's why you'll often see a differential like that, even though they're not in a heated area, the fuel. But we do have some fuel heaters, so we can help turn it on, so that way you don't have to worry about water in the line or anything like that. Alright, so tower is calling. Approach is now online, so let's go ahead and get approach dialed in. Orlando approach, Continental 5522 at 13.6 for 12,000 on the BITHO 3 arrival. BITHO 7 arrival.
Continental 5522, Orlando approach, the Orlando altimeter is 3012, squawk 0745.
Squawking 0745 for Continental 5522. Alright, so you heard the man, so he wants 0745, so let's go ahead and get in 0745. So, alright, so we're leveling out.
Continental 5522, radar contact about 5 north of Lama 12000. You can expect the visual approach runway 17 right.
Visual approach for 17 right for Continental 5522. Okay, so that's going to throw off things just slightly, so we're going to go ahead and put it into heading mode now.
And Continental 5522, depart Lama, heading 240.
Depart Lama, heading 240, and 17 right for Continental 5522. Okay, so you also heard the man. We're going visual approach. That means everything else is basically scrapped. We've got it in heading mode. Once we've passed over Lama, we're supposed to head over to heading 240. So I'm dialing in 240 right now. Also shallowing my turn there. So once Lama changes, I'm putting it into heading mode. And he's not giving me a lower restriction. So now I can go into heading mode, which I've just done. I've gone into heading. Oh, so we've got to change it out of VOR.
Continental 5522, descend and maintain 5,000.
Descend and maintain 5,000 for Continental 5522. All right, so he's giving me quite a bit to do, so let's go ahead and get that 5,000.
Continental 5522, confirm you're turning heading 240.
We're heading 240, just trying to get it out of autopilot to heading mode.
Understood.
Alright, so why can't we get it off? So we're going to turn the autopilot off for just a second and put it into heading mode and turn the autopilot back on. Let's try pulling the heading. No, we can't do that. So let's get ILS, and now we're just going to have to hand fly it for a second. There we go. Now we've got it. Now let's get into heading select mode and get that autopilot back on, right? Great. Auto throttle turned off, so let's go ahead and turn off auto throttle and let's get that speed down. And now that we've got all that stuff going on, let's get the seatbelts on and let's get our landing lights on. And he's not giving us anything, but let's go ahead and get the belly lights on. And
Continental 5522, turn left, heading 210 now.
Left 210 for Continental 5522.
Continental 5522, descend and maintain 3,000.
Descend and maintain 3,000, Continental 5522. Okay.
Continental 5522, field of your 10 o'clock in 15 miles.
Field at 10 o'clock, 15 miles. Looking for the field, Continental 5522. And we have the field in sight, 5522.
Continental 5522, clear visual approach, runway 17 right.
Clear visual approach, 17 right, 22.
Continental 5522, contact Orlando Tower 118.45. Have a good one.
Thanks so much. 118.45, Continental 5522. Okay, ta-da. Orlando Tower, Continental 5522 at 3000 for runway 17 right.
Continental 5522, Orlando Tower, wind 210 at 7, runway 17 right, clear to land.
Clear to land for 17 right, Continental 5522. Alright, so we're going to put on that, and let's go ahead and see if we can skip ahead some of this stuff here, right? So we're going to stitch up MNCO to here. I'm sorry folks, I haven't been talking to you, but got a lot of curveballs all thrown at me at once, so my autopilot wasn't working quite the way I wanted, so I had to disconnect. And they gave me the visual approach, which was fine, but it just wasn't the one I was set up for. So I'm coming in here visual right now, and I'm just trying to reduce my speed and get back on the glide slope here. So back on the glide slope, adding some engine power.
500.
So I don't sink too much, and because it's an airline, the inputs are delayed slightly. So just a little high, we're fixing that, trying to get that speed under control. Got our flaps deployed, got the gear down, and so, yeah.
$100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
So floating here, but let's go ahead and get it down. I don't care about that. Throw in the reversers. Missed the one turn off, but that's okay.
Continental 5522, welcome to Orlando, right when able, right onto hotel, contact ground 121.8, have a good night.
Contact ground, and thanks so much for the service, Continental 5522. Alright, first we're going to just get off the runway here, right? And just hold, clean up the airplane, and we're going to contact ground. And so let's go ahead and clear that. Orlando ground, Continental 5522, off runway 17 right at hotel. Orlando tower, Continental 5522. Can I have the frequency for ground again?
Ground just signed off, so stay with me. Are you gonna park at the United gates or the old Continental gates?
The old Continental gates.
Continental 5522, taxi via, let's do Golf, Juliet 2 to the ramp.
Golf, Juliet, and Juliet 2 to the ramp, Continental 5522.
Orlando Tower, good afternoon, November 74, Juliet Kilo, Alpha 1 short of Alpha, ready for taxi, we have information, whiskey.
For Juliet Kilo, Orlando Tower, mode C on for me, sir.
This is always tough, but let me see if I can do this. So there's a plane, and there's me, taxiing. And it looks like two planes are built right on top of each other, so they spawned, and one of them is deciding not to give it up. And so we've got other airlines over there, as you can see. So the instructions he gave me was Golf, Juliet.
Hello, Tower, Charlie 769 officers, signature ready to taxi with whiskey.
November 769 Alpha Sierra, Orlando Tower, welcome. Runway 18 right, taxi via Alpha Bravo 1.
Alpha Bravo 118 right, 9 Alpha Sierra.
Orlando ground, hello, Frontier Flight 31 and Charlie 1, taxi please.
Frontier Flight 31, runway, Orlando Tower, runway 18 left, taxi via Charlie 1, Charlie Bravo 1.
So now you can see we're on Juliet.
18 left via Charlie 1, Charlie Bravo 1, Frontier Flight 31.
There.
Orlando Tower, Vector 562 with whiskey at signature ready for taxi.
There goes an airplane.
So Jet 562, Orlando Tower, welcome back. Runway 18 right, taxi via Alpha Bravo 1.
There goes
Alpha
an
Bravo
airplane.
1 to 18 right, section 562.
So let's pay attention to what I need to do opposed to watching airplanes take off. But that's still pretty cool, right? So, somebody just moved their airplane without being conscious that they're online here. Here's a Frontier taking off, or taxiing rather, so as I come in.
Tower 9 Alpha Sierra, be ready at the end.
Phenom 4 Juliet Kilo, contact Orlando departure 124.8, happy trails.
124.8 for 74, Juliet Kilo, good day.
Right now, live.
Orlando ground, Alpha 855 heavy with information whiskey, request icon clearance to Princess Juliana International.
Alpaca 855 Heavy, Orlando Tower, welcome. You are cleared to the Princess Juliana Airport via the Dandy 2 departure. Jive pod transition then as filed. Maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 390, 10 minutes after departure. Departure 124.8, squawk 0727.
Alright, so we're going to disconnect here.
562 is ready.
And the reason why we're disconnecting is so that way we can do a replay, and let's take a look and see how that landing actually went before I shut down the airplane and all that kind of stuff. So here we are on the visual approach, all hand flying, because I did not have everything lined up the way I needed it to be, because it came on quite a bit at the last minute. That's because approach and all of them just weren't on that I could see originally, and then they all came online, so that's fine. So here we are, just a little bit too high. There's Orlando in the background. How cool is that? And touchdown. Got the reversers in. And there's the screenshot, right? So one thing we're going to do is we're going to assume that we get external power, and we're going to turn the external power on, so that way we can go ahead and shut off the engines, which I'm doing right now. We turn off the fuel pumps. We can turn off the alternators, don't need them anymore. We can go ahead and open up the DC bus tie, and we can actually open up that AC bus tie. And now look at it. Now it's 30 degrees. Sure. Okay, so doesn't matter. We're turning all that off. And we are turning off the logo light, and we are turning off the yaw damper. We are also turning off the floodlights. Don't need those anymore. Anti-collision is off because the engines are off. The strobe lights are now off, and the wing light is off. Nose light is off, and the wing lights are now retracted. This engine and everything is shut down. We can go ahead into the back cabin and open up the door and get the stairs out. And while we do that, we can also open up the cargo doors and turn off the anti-skid. Everything else, yeah, we can leave as is. We can turn off that galley energy right now. And yeah, of course, we can tell people to get up and going. So we turn off the no smoking and seatbelts. My goodness, we can turn off the engine windshield lights rather, and the pitot heat we can turn off as well. So didn't do all the procedures quite the way I wanted, but I think we're doing pretty good, to be honest with you. So a great flight. A great flight. Curveballs at the end, which is perfect, exactly what VATSIM is all about. You can also see when that first plane took off, never made any radio calls, did everything that, what's the point of being on an online network if you're not treating it seriously and actually talking to people? And then the other way around, how great was it that everything got thrown at us all at once and we had to adjust and just fly the plane. Just take off autopilot, get it sorted out. The controller was great. The approach controller was great. The MD-80. So this, again, free plane. This is an update. The Super 80 that's free to make it behave more like a real plane, more like a real Mad Dog 80. So yeah, a couple of things are not modeled in the free Super MD-80, but it is free and it flies like a real plane, and you can go ahead and certainly pay the $60 for the Rotate MD-80 version, which has a lot more systems and stuff modeled, but I think this is fine for what I do. I'm quite happy with it. So from Dixieland Farm, everybody, take care.